This commentary is about Lamar Jackson versus Ravens fans. Now, I consider myself to be a Ravens fan. I was at a CFL Colts slash CFL Stallions game back in the mid 90s. Now, I wasn't there because I went there for the football game itself. The Power Rangers happened to be in town, and I wanted to check them out, and they were going to that event being the Stallions game at Old Memorial Stadium. And I watched the games on TV at that time, and that's also the time I realized the best seat in the house is on TV, where I could easily follow the game, etc. But I realized being at home was the best seat, and I didn't really appreciate actually being at a football event until almost college, later part of high school. I'm like, why would I want to be in the stands? But that's neither here nor there. But that is my history and the background as it pertains to being a Ravens fan. I wanted a team to come to the area, to come to town. I came up in the suburbs of Baltimore. I'm like, hey, why can't Baltimore have a team? And at that time, I was still a Cowboys fan in terms of the NFL. And by the time the Ravens came, I split my fanship between it. And then once Brian Billick came to town after that incredible season he had with the Minnesota Vikings, I'm like, okay, I'm leaning more to the Ravens. And once they went 8-8 that season, I felt really good about the team. And I was fully committed to being a full-time Ravens fan in 1999. And before then, as I said, I split my fanship. So, that being said, yeah, I do lean toward traditional Ravens football and our success coming from a primarily defensive standpoint. Now, 2019, 2020, we have Lamar Jackson catching a lot of these headlines, will more than likely be the MVP of the NFL based on his football skills. And not that I have an issue with Lamar Jackson. Actually support him being MVP in terms of football skills, but I'm not going to outright say he's the best quarterback the Ravens ever had or is the best quarterback in the game, because I see a quarterback as a primary thrower of the ball. And yeah, you can do other things, which does help you, but the basis of his game is coming from the run. It's not coming from the pass. Him passing the ball isn't opening up necessarily his running plays. His running plays is opening up his passing plays. And I think it should be reversed. But hey, that's just my opinion in terms of that. But when it comes down to actually making certain throws, I see Lamar Jackson as being very questionable, especially as it pertains to throws outside the numbers. And if you can't throw outside the numbers, you're going to have a problem exploiting a basic cover two. Well, more or less a Tampa two, since that's the preferred way to run the cover two, because otherwise you're going to have the tight ends run these flags or run these seam routes, etc. all day. So yeah, there's a couple of weak spots in a traditional cover two. Tampa two takes away that middle weak spot, but you can kind of flood it. And if you got good big tight ends like the Ravens have, you can almost like post up the tight end between the man and the ball, and Lamar Jackson just throws it in the area, and the tight end makes this high catch on whatever side of his body that the defender isn't covering. But if a defense cuts that out by whatever means, okay, or say that route doesn't develop fast enough, can he hit that area between the cornerback and the safety outside the numbers down the sidelines? We really don't see him doing that. And we don't see him hitting no deep outs. And maybe because he hasn't necessarily been forced into it lately, but I do question his ability to throw outside the numbers, sideline, those deep outs to wide receivers, the area between the safety and the cornerback and the cover two, Tampa two, whatever you want to refer to it as. That area of the field. I'm not saying that he can't, but I haven't seen it. And I see the Ravens offense abusing defenses with their tight ends, and rightfully so, as they should. Tom Brady did it with Gronk and Hernandez. That's cool. I ain't got no problem with that. You play how you play. But we've also seen Tom Brady make every other throw at a consistent level. And they say, hey, well, every quarterback can't make certain throws. When you're a professional, yeah, you kind of got to make every throw because you're going to, you got to be able to exploit every weakness that a defense has, every coverage that a defense has. So my problem, not well, I won't say problem, but my concern with Lamar Jackson saying, "Oh, he's this great quarterback," and everyone getting caught up in the hype is like he can't make he's not making certain throws, and I feel like also it plays a role into just the general disrespect of Joe Flacco and people being a Lamar Jackson fan as opposed to a Ravens fan. And they just bond into their own hype, even certain Ravens fans, because they say, hey, oh, look at the Ravens all on ESPN, they talking about us now. And being in these headlines on these debate shows and whatever else, saying, hey, let's talk about the Ravens. And people aren't used to that because when Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, and those boys was in charge, like, yeah, people knew he was good. And a lot of hardcore football fans knew that we were a good team from the defensive end, but offense sells. And people like to have Lamar Jackson out there saying, hey, okay, this sells. Now we can really talk about the Ravens like every single day. And like, oh, look at Lamar run around and make these throws. And a lot of times it's saying, well, he's this really good, accurate passer. I'm like, he's throwing a lot to these tight ends. They're big guys. Pick a side to throw it to where the defender's not at. Throw it up there. They're going to come down with it. even Joe Flacco did that when he had Pitta and Dixon. So, yeah, it does take a level of accuracy, but most NFL quarterbacks pretty much should be able to do that. At least every starting quarterback and most of the backups. And I feel if you can't make every throw, you can be exploited. But you say, well, Lamar Jackson, he has this unique, running ability, and people need to have that in case the offensive line breaks down. That's how a quarterback should be. And you have all these quarterback gurus all of a sudden saying, well, that's the way the quarterback's supposed to be played. Everybody else has been wrong. But like, okay, the NFL's been around for a long time. You think people ain't never tried it like this? And you can say, well, maybe certain quarterbacks that was able to run like Lamar didn't have the opportunities, and it made to play other positions. And that's a fair point. Okay, I get that. But at the end of the day, as the number one thrower of the ball, I expect better. And you say, well, other quarterbacks can't run his option attack. Yeah, you're right, because the the goal of an option attack is to get up the field as fast as you can while they handing it off or the quarterback's keeping it themselves. Most teams, well, most most teams defend it. You want to stretch the quarterback all the way to the outside and then see what happens. You put that hit on them. But Lamar Jackson's able to get outside, turn that corner, and get upfield, and is able to even juke cornerbacks. So that makes it a little bit different. It's because he has this super athleticism. So it's not because it's necessarily the right play to call, all things being equal, and you found an exploit. It's just that Lamar Jackson is a superior runner and usually the fastest man on the field, and has good lateral quickness and up the field speed. So yeah, he's using his athleticism to do things that you normally wouldn't expect, and that's cool. But if you have him keep running and keep stretching out, does he get tired at a certain point? Were you able to put a hit on him on that sideline? I know the NFL likes to protect quarterbacks a lot, but hey, you're a runner. And when you're a runner, they can put that hit on him on that sideline. Long they keep stretching that play out, put that hit on him on that sideline. And people are like, okay, keep coming as Lamar. How many yards you gonna get? Are you going nickel and dime us with your legs all the way up and down the field all game? Are you built like that? Are your legs going to get tired? Is your base going to be a little bit off? Or are we going to hit your arm and it's going to get touched up a little bit and you're not able to throw the ball properly, effectively, with enough velocity and accuracy? You have to take those things into account when you make your quarterback a runner like that, because even a running back getting hit and they hit their arm a little bit or hit their hand a little bit, they can wrap it up, tape it up, put a cast on, and keep on playing. But not your quarterback, and you have to keep that in mind as well. So yeah, I'm not saying Lamar Jackson doesn't deserve the MVP. Yeah, he's the MVP in terms of being effective, but I'm not going to say he's this top quarterback in the game. No, sir. And that's no disrespect to Lamar. He's a good football player, and he's doing what he's doing. He's trying to exploit defenses with the option, and that's what it's about. It's about how disciplined is that defense when you run that option. You have to have a disciplined defense to contain that option. And usually, by the time you get to the NFL, the defensive ends and outside linebackers are pretty fast. That guess what? The quarterback's not going to run that in the NFL, but Lamar Jackson has that speed advantage. But still, if you have a disciplined enough defense, with the defensive ends, keep containment, the tackles to get that pressure up that middle, now you got him in that pocket. Now he has to throw. Now what can he do once that happens from that pocket position? He's going to be able to make the throws outside of the numbers. And I don't think he can make those throws outside the numbers as it stands. He may have gotten better at it. I haven't really seen it in the games yet, but anything could happen. And I could definitely be proven wrong, which is fine because I'm a Ravens fan. But I'm just not going to get all hyped over Lamar Jackson when I've seen Joe Flacco make all these throws. And I've seen Joe Flacco have success. And I've seen people not putting respect on Joe Flacco's name. He did a pretty decent job managing the game. 2008 playoff run. 2011 playoff run. Lee Evans dropped, hurt. Would have been a Super Bowl year. 2012, we got it. 2014 would have been another Super Bowl run, in my opinion, because if we didn't run into a cheating Patriots team where we weren't allowed to match the substitutions and they had deflated balls, and you could still even blame the defense for having dropping 2 14-point leads, we'd have faced the Colts in that AFC Championship back in 14 into the 15 playoffs. And I know we would have beat them. They didn't have enough talent. They were just barely getting by. We'd been back in the Super Bowl. And it been a different narrative about Joe Flacco once he had two. But you can't. We wasn't able to get it done. Then Joe Flacco had injuries and his revolving doors of coordinators, and he wasn't able to get stabilized as a veteran quarterback, should have a level of stability in terms of coordinators. And they say, hey, Brady, he loses coordinators. True. And I'm not putting Joe Flacco in the class of Tom Brady, but Joe Flacco can ball. He definitely can ball, and he can definitely throw the ball. And if he's in the right system, like he had with that Gary Kubiak, 14, okay. He can do his thing. And you say, well, okay, so when Lamar's in the right system, he can do his thing. True. And no doubt Lamar is doing his thing. But I'm just saying, I'm a Ravens fan in the past. I'm a Ravens fan today. And I'll be a Ravens fan going forward. And I'm not going to get too hyped about one guy. Now, I've liked a lot of guys we had on our teams. And I may have gotten super hype about Ray Lewis in the early 2000s and Ed Reed, and then became disappointed that we couldn't get Ed Reed a championship. And I was a fan of Steve McNair in 2006, which was another disappointing season because he got hurt and he couldn't throw the ball more than 15, 20 yards down the field. And I feel like we had a championship Super Bowl caliber team right then and there as well. But what I'm saying is, hey, be objective a little bit. Okay, Lamar's doing his thing, but hey, look what he's not doing as well. And look what they're trying to hide. And then, like, I know he's supposed to maximize his strengths, but also look at his weaknesses. And to me, that's unacceptable for a quarterback in the NFL when he ain't throwing outside these numbers. So it's going to come down to, hey, going forward, even if Lamar Jackson, hey, somehow has this magic code this playoffs, and he doesn't have to make certain throws, eventually he's going to have to make certain throws down the line. And if he runs a disciplined defenses this playoffs or whenever, he could be in trouble. Because, hey, if you got a good front four, all bets are off. Because they can control Lamar, make sure he stays in that pocket. And if he's in forced throw situations, okay, now you got these coverages going out. Now you mix up these coverages. You can really have some fun out there and see what Lamar Jackson can do from the pocket, where his running ability isn't as big of a threat. But hey, Lamar Jackson isn't leading any comeback victories. So, well, at least we haven't seen him thus far. So we don't know. He's pretty much been a front runner. And I'm not saying he's a front runner kind of guy, but so far on his win streak this season, 2019, into the 2020 playoffs, he's a front runner. He's playing usually tied with the lead or down by a little bit where he can still do his running, still do his read options. He hasn't been forced to pass. He ain't been down 21. He ain't been down 28. And like, okay, bring it back, Lamar. They ain't letting you run, and they contain you. Tear it up. Tear it up. Tear it up with that ball down the field. The ball can beat the man. See what you can do. But he hasn't been put in those situations. So, hey, you got to give credit to the coaching staff. Give credit to Lamar Jackson's unique abilities to pretty much outrun most people and juke corners and stuff. And even when they line the right position, where he should be down with a couple yard gain, run that option, stretching to the outside, he go pick up 5+ yards. So yeah, credit Lamar Jackson's athleticism. And I assume at some point maybe his athleticism can be matched. Not necessarily because of him slowing down, but maybe because of personnel that NFL teams put out there. And then, hey, get back to being a primary ball thrower and really exploiting those defenses and working that field with that ball. And I haven't seen that from Lamar Jackson yet. But I'm a Ravens fan. I'm not hating on Lamar. But I'm just saying, hey, everybody cool their horses. Lamar still has work to do. And even last year, I'm like, okay, you got to give Lamar some time. Like, yeah, we saw some good things and we saw some bad things. But now people ain't really seeing the bad things from Lamar. And that's pretty much because Lamar has been avoiding the things that he supposedly doesn't do as well. Or I haven't seen him do as well. He's just doing the thing that he can do. And teams, whether it be from lack of discipline or the wrong personnel, haven't been able to stop him. But it's not like he is, hey, carving up the field or covering the field with his pass. Like, okay, he's capitalizing on every exploit and like, hey, okay, there's nothing we can do about it. Or he's reading the defense so well, he's getting everybody into the right play. No, even when people are in the right plays and right position, he just out physically beating them. So that's a little bit different. So yeah, this is an address to like Ravens fans, football fans, hyping up Lamar Jackson, and that's cool to hype him up, but I'm just not necessarily sold on him right now until I see more from him in terms of the passing game. Because hey, you can be shut down running. How many hits can you take? Can your arm get touched up a little bit? And how will that affect your accuracy of the ball? And you gotta make sure you're always protecting yourself. Similar to probably Russell Wilson, because Russell Wilson is really good at protecting himself, even though he's not as athletic as Lamar Jackson, but he's athletic enough to be an effective runner, and defense have to respect his ability to run. And he's pretty good at protecting himself. Lamar is a little bit bigger guy, a little more agile, so he might not have certain issues, but you still got to protect yourself because even big guys like Cam Newton got hurt. Not wishing anything bad upon Lamar. And Lamar himself, he knows he has to work on things in his passing game. He wants to get better every day. So not really, I'm not even really criticizing Lamar, attacking Lamar. It's more like, hey, you football fans, you Ravens fans, you Lamar Jackson fans, like, come on. Have you watched Ravens football over the years? Are you really comfortable even with this hype on TV like that? Or are you saying, hey, it's past due respect that we're finally getting, which I do agree, but hey, where was all that respect when the Ravens were balling before defensively? They wasn't in the headlines every day. It wasn't being talked about on these shows and debate shows. Joe Flacco, when he was balling, he get in the playoffs, he get a couple of mentions. It's come playoff time, he get a couple of mentions, but people weren't really talking about him because he wasn't being prolific, to a high degree. At least not in terms of the way we've seen Lamar Jackson regular season being super prolific in terms of putting up touchdowns, but Flacco was throwing the ball, making the correct plays, getting it done, not turning it over. So he's definitely doing well. Definitely as well as Tom Brady, many playoff runs. But hey, I understand it's an offensive game, and offense sells tickets and brings in casuals, etc. And you can say, hey, look at this man juke moves and shaking everybody, beating defenders one on one. Like, cool. But what happens when you run to the team defense? What happens when you run into a strong front four that's able to keep over your offensive line? Lamar Jackson has a pretty talented team he's playing with, as soon as skills. But what happens when you run into that strong front four on the defense? You're in that pocket. Can you make them throws? Can you make it outside them numbers? We'll see. But that's my take as a Ravens fan. Not a Lamar Jackson fan, a Ravens fan. No disrespect to Lamar, but I'm a Ravens fan. We hope to see something out of him. And it's not because I'm going to make this video say, hey, if something happens, point to this video, hey, look at me being right. If he somehow comes up short, it's like, no, just cool your horses a little bit. We see what he does well, but don't change the narrative of how a quarterback's supposed to play. Saying, oh, Lamar Jackson just doing it different, and that's the way to play. And forget about the offensive line. Like, nah, it's all important piece of puzzle. Big old chess game. Football's been around for a long time. Before Lamar and after Lamar. And I just wish that the fans take a chill, cool down a little bit. NFL commentators cool down a little bit. Let Lamar just do what he do. Cause you just annoying me. You just making it hard and making me a little more critical than I would like to be of Lamar. I just care about us winning, but you're making me more critical of Lamar because you just overhyping certain things and ignoring other things that a quarterback should be doing. That's all I'm saying. That's my take. Iceberg Jim out. Deuces.